Hey everybody, how's it going? Marissa and my dad here. We're just chatting, and what were we talking about, Papa? I can't remember.
I was watching Tucker Carlson on YouTube, and he was uh, I believe he was interviewing RFK, Robert F. Kennedy, or
Uh-huh.
he was with Charlie Callis, who is a very bright doctor. Whatever he's pretty well. What's the word I'm looking for? Well acknowledged, well spoken of. Anyway, they were on there. I was watching. I don't know who it was. When while they were recording, doing the show, all of a sudden a big banner came up, and it said, "Due to discussing anything having to do with COVID, we don't want to lose our show, so we're going to delete this part." And then it will come back on, and they don't talk anything
Oh,
about COVID. So YouTube took our last show down because I had asked a question about COVID, and the snoops over there at YouTube got it and said, "Oh, nope, you can't ask that question. Not allowed."
hmm,
Done. You
yeah,
know, I mean, we live in such a weird world. Such a weird world that
yep,
we've got these powers to be Mark Zuckerberg, powers to be. I mean, he owns YouTube. Mark
yeah.
Zuckerberg, cuts anybody's thoughts off. If you ask a question they don't like, no, can't ask that question. No, you can't do that. So anyway, we'll try our best to stay away from COVID and hopefully not have our shows knocked off.
Yeah,
Seems to
they killed
that
it.
seems
It wasn't like they just even like usually they'll demonetize it and they'll say, you can't make money on this, or they kind of give you like a slap on the wrist. But this one they made me take a class, and I had to take a class for like 40. It took like 40 minutes because I had to read everything and do a quiz. And then once you pass the quiz, then they certify you as knowing what you're not allowed to say and what you can say. And then they say, okay, we're just going to make this a strike. Your show is still gone. You can't access it. And it's nowhere online anymore to save society. I think this is what it was to save the minds of society or something crazy like that. I sent it over to you a screenshot because I was like,
totally
wow.
brainwashing, propaganda. We live in a communist society that we call a democracy. We got to get rid of this. I mean, it's the same thing like the assassination attempt yesterday. It's like they didn't do anything after Trump got shot in the head less than 2 months ago, or was it 2 months ago? Less than 2 months ago.
It was like
Let's see,
it was way less than.
July. Was it July? It was July, August, September. It was like 6, 7 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was. I was.
We
The guy
haven't
who said
had
it's like a month and a half. Yeah.
an attempt on a president since Reagan, since the 80s. And now we've had two in less than 6 weeks. And the Secret Service said, "Oh, yeah, we're going to beef this up. Yeah, this will never happen again." After the last one, after the first one. Bingo. I
But
mean,
how do
if
you really control that many people? I mean, how do you really control people? I mean, that's my thing. It's like I'm surprised that more
no,
attempts
no,
have
no,
not
no.
been made.
You protect the president out to 1,800 yards. He needs to be protected from 1,800 yards because that's the range. I mean, the best sniper is able to pick off somebody at 1 mile. That's 1,760
Wow.
yards. 1,760 yards. So the very best sniper in the world can get somebody from a mile, but that's the
Wow.
very best. So he needs to be protected at all times out to 1,800 yards away from him.
Hmm.
Now, the golf course, there was a part of the golf course where you could get within 300 yards of him. In fact,
Hmm.
it was where usually journalists would go to take pictures of him on the golf course because they're not allowed on the golf course. So they go up to the fence and they take long range shots and takes pictures of. So the Secret Service knew that there were places around the golf course, and along the perimeter of the golf courses are roads. So if Trump is going down the golf course along this certain road, well, this road should be blocked off during the
Oh,
time that
oh
he's
yeah,
on
they
there.
do that.
Then
That
then
when
they
Joe Biden was here, they
then
blocked
they
off all the freeways. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they could very easily block off the roads around this golf course or any golf course that he plays on or anywhere he goes. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. It was just lucky because there was actually two Secret Service members who got two uh, were 1 to 2 holes ahead of him. checking out things, make sure nothing's going wrong or whatever. And it was one of those guys that caught the guy with the gun through the fence and then shot at him. In Butler, when they had a shot at Crooks, they didn't take
Butler?
it. Butler, Pennsylvania, when he got shot in the face, when he got shot in the ear. They, the snipers had Crooks. They could have killed him before he ever got any shots off, but they had to call it in and say, "Oh, we've got a suspect on the roof. Looks like he's got a gun. Should we shoot him?" And the communications never went through because they had never been coordinated.
Oh my gosh.
That
sounds like a setup to me.
You know what? Our Secret Service plans about as well as a first grader planning a birthday party. I mean, these people are so insane. They're so incompetent. It's unbelievable. It's not incompetence. When it happens one time, it's incompetence. When it happens a second time, then it's intentional. It's intentional. It's intentional.
Well, so, I can tell you what the guide said about it, which was very interesting. Last night, I got home from Jeff's parents' house, from Joe and Elaine's, and walked in the house. And I never look at the news, but every once in a while, recently, since I'm doing this nonprofit thing, I've been using Microsoft to get into my email and stuff like that. I usually use Gmail, and Microsoft has news headlines on the front of the Bing or whatever. And it was like assassination attempt, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, why are they still talking about this? I was like, wow. And then it was like second assassination. I was like, huh? But I mean, I never watched the news. So I was like, and I heard in my head, this is real. So I was like, okay. And that's usually like, I'll hear, this is real. This is fake. Don't bother. It's just a little voice in my head that I'll hear. And so it was like, this is real. Look at it. So I clicked on it. I start reading it. And I heard those that will create a win for whomever they choose or for whoever they've chosen is being shown how easily they can be taken out if they don't listen to them again. And it was like, So then I was like, what? And then I wrote to all my friends. I've got a text message string with like 20 people on it. And so I wrote, anyone want to do a chart right now? And I heard back from a few people, but it was a little too late to do the chart. So I sat down by myself and I was going to get the camera out and do it on like TikTok or something like that. But I didn't do anything. I just kind of drew and I was scribbling and I passed out. And I never remember what I do because I'm by myself. So I didn't record it or anything. But from what I remember, and that's why I wanted to ask about it today with you, and I kind of wanted to redo the chart that they had shown me, is that Donald Trump was hired by the car industry and the banking industry people, whoever runs those, to whip the world into shape and by being the president. But that Lucifer is on that side. And if it's like fear-driven stuff. The other side is more like it felt very Satan-like energy, and I didn't even tune into it because I was by myself. I didn't have anyone holding space, and I was like, "Ugh, I don't really like this." And it was more like these people over here know about the interplanetary like new souls coming to the planet, and the Satan side wants these new souls to come to the planet so the planet will continue to exist in the frequency that it exists, which is fear, mayhem, what's it called? Light and dark, duality, all that. Like all we want, source, everyone Christ wants is for us to go into and through Christ consciousness, into our I am presence, up and into our ascension process, in through and towards the Father and back to unity. But the other fallen angels and Satan are like, no, let's keep this party going on down here. Like, we don't want to end our existence. So it's kind of like this. They're answering my question. What they're saying is by going into 5D, our 4D world ceases to exist. The astral plane is gone. All the stories are gone. Atlantis is gone. The Sirius star system is gone. Orion is gone. All of these things that are 4D are gone because they just won't exist anymore. Just like when you die, your spirit ceases to exist anymore, but your consciousness goes into your soul that still exists over there. So it's a battle between soul versus spirit consciousness. Like, do we want to go into soul consciousness or spirit consciousness? Soul consciousness or spirit consciousness? One is temporary, one is eternal. And one, when we go into our Christ body, it encapsulates our spirit and takes us into that soul mode to where we can ascend through the chakras as a Christ being. But if we stay in our spirit, we stay like little fairies and gnomes and elementals, and we stay like part of the earth. So there's no good and there's no bad. It's really no good or no bad. This is Sophia, by the way. There's really no good and there's no bad. You can say, oh, Lucifer is bad, but Lucifer is in charge. Lucifer is the light that shines down upon this earth, because this earth was given unto him, because he was the brightest shining star in the Milky Way, or beyond even. Understand and know that the Holy Spirit, encapsulated and inside of and not eternal, is Satan. So the Holy Spirit, a piece of it breaks off, and that Holy Spirit, it still has the power of the Holy Spirit, but it's not eternal either. They all need to be charged up. They all need electricity from a soul. And the only way that souls can electrify and charge oneself up is if the soul embodies a body that these beings are in. So earth must have souls in it in order to power it up and keep the energy going. Otherwise, if souls are not in it, it just won't. It'll be like a cell phone that has all the information in the world that you could ever possibly need. You're stranded, you're out somewhere, you got everyone's phone number in there, you've got all the information that you need in there, and you just can't turn it on because there's no batteries. But then you get electricity, you plug it in, and then you're up and running again. So I need to put it on Do Not Disturb. Do Not Disturb. Let me do this. Otherwise, we're going to be listening to that all the whole time. There we go. Okay, perfect. Forgot what I was saying. Okay. You go ahead. I need to get water. My mouth is sticking to itself.
No, I was probably lost in thought while you were just channeling, because something has just kept popping into my head over maybe the last week or 4 or 5 days or so. Because I was watching something on YouTube and they're interviewing people, and somebody interviewed a girl. And I think it was Charlie Kirk, and he asked the young college student, "Do you believe in God?" And she said, "No." He said, "Why don't you believe in God?" And she said, "Because who made God?" That's a very, very common question. If God made everything, who made God? And so over the last 4 or 5 days, I've been having this visualization in my head. And I think I touched on it on the show that's probably been canceled. I picture God with this ball, this big translucent ball. And he's standing holding the ball. And he makes everything inside the ball. And it's our universe. It's our universe. And he assigns gods inside the universe. He assigns, he's got everything. Everything that you see in our universe is in this ball. And here's God. He's got long white hair, long white beard. Standing next to him is Sophia with her arm over his shoulder. She's got long white hair and beautiful, beautiful dress. And she's the Holy Spirit. And she's sitting there with the Father, and they're going, okay, let's do this, let's do that. Why don't we make this one over here, this one over here? Let's make some animals. Let's make some people. Let's put some souls inside those. And so they make this big game. The game. It's a universe, and it's in a ball. But right behind him, up there, they are in the ball. And the one behind him is the Holy Spirit and the Father sitting at a table with a great big ball that's got that ball inside of it. So it goes up, 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 up.
The Tupperware bowls.
7 times it's like that.
Oh, 7 is what you see?
7. I see 7 layers of that same thing. And each one ends up being in the very first one, he's sitting at a table or whatever with the Holy Spirit, and they got this big ball. And he says, okay, let's do this, let's do that. Let's put ourselves in each one of those little people so they can communicate with us, blah, 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 blah. They can do anything they want. But quietly behind him is somebody with a great big ball. And the first ones are inside that ball. And the next one's inside that ball. And besides having one ball, according to the Urantia book, there's 123,000 other balls that they have made. They're all different universes. For us, maybe we're in a ball where they said, okay, in this new universe that we're going to put right next to it, we're going to allow it to bleed together. And you know what? This ball is going to be 180 degrees of this. It's the flip. You live it this way, the opposite is lived in this one. So I keep seeing it. It's like a mirror. Yeah, it's like a mirror, but things are, what would you do if you hadn't gone left? You would have gone right. Well, that's the situation. People go to the left in this ball, but they go to the right in this ball. So what happens? So I keep picturing God as having this great big beach ball that's clear, and our entire universe is inside of it. And
what do you picture above that?
What's that?
What do you picture if you ask your mind to show you above that or outside of that? What do you picture outside of the 7 layers?
Nothing. It only goes to the very beginning.
So it's all encapsulated by that.
Or it's infinity. Right now, I only see 7 layers. I see 7 layers of gods, different gods, each one higher than the other one. But in the first example that I gave you, that God, there are no other gods before him because he and the Holy Spirit created everything inside there. So he is the God. He is the creator. But there's now another God that's over and above that. Let's say the first one had 10 universes. He made 10 universes, and he's got 10 balls, and he's monitoring all 10 different universes. Well, there's somebody behind him that has the first one inside his ball.
Yeah.
And he's got 10 more balls that have 10 inside of each one of those. So I picture an infinity, but for some reason I only see, I think infinity, but I only see out 7. I keep getting stopped at 7.
Well, you know how many chakras we have, right? We have 7 chakras. So here's the guides. Here's Peter, Sophia, you called her in. So there's Sophia. So
and the father.
Grab this real quick. So I went and saw an amazing show that I recommend to anybody that's in Vegas at any time to go see this show. It's called The Awakening. And Jen, our cousin, Jeff's cousin on Elaine's side, she invited us because we watched her kids on Friday night. So she invited us. We went to the show with them on Saturday night. It was amazing. It was the most amazing show because it's exactly what I see. I was like, either the person that wrote the show was on DMT and could see everything I see, because people can't see what I see unless they do drugs. I can see it sober, but it's funny. And then if I do plant medicine things, I don't see any more than I actually already see. I just feel, because I never feel. But anyways, point is that the show was amazing because there was this guy in the show. There was this big face, and he had like a skeleton body and black robes. And this girl gets chosen to go through all 7 layers of consciousness to basically awaken to herself. And in the end, basically, you see this being that was named the Dark, and it was a woman. And then there was the Light, and he's like, hey, everybody, I'm the light. I shine bright. Everybody loves me because I'm the light, and I'm amazing. And, it's singing and dancing, and it's silks and people flipping around and stuff. It's like, it's a Vegas show. And it was so amazing because the thing that was a face, I literally heard Peter, and I was like, that's not Peter. Peter is in a skeleton face. And they said, Peter is that on that layer, because we exist on every single layer. We exist down in the vampire world. We exist down in the ghost world. We exist in like the demon world, even. Like there is a piece of us in every single layer of consciousness that there is, because we're ultimately spirit living through all of our creations in all these things. So during the show, it was like an hour and a half long. I kept like nudging Jen going, oh my gosh, there's the 7 chakras. And the person that wrote this, the people that wrote this show were just like so accurate. They went into a world where everything was made out of trees. And I heard this is where COVID existed, in this tree world. People that were in the tree world were not affected by it, but people that were making their way out of the tree world were affected. If they made it out in time, then they weren't affected. But if they were in transition out of this plant world into the water world, then they didn't make it. So I want to go see the show again. I want to take my tape recorder or like notes, and I want to take notes because it is like the best show. The reason why I went off into this tangent is because there was 7 layers, and in it, the same actors and actresses all played different parts. So this weird thing that Jen saw it as AI. I saw it as like the Antichrist, but then they kept calling it Peter. And I was like, what? And they said, everyone has an Antichrist self. Everyone has a Christ self. Everybody has all these different rooms or places that they can live within themselves in this temple, or this temple that we call God within oneself. You can access the light, you can access the darkness, you can access your shadow, you can access your God or goddess self, whatever you want to call it. But ultimately what we are, because I said, well, then what are we? Because at the beginning of the show, they have this red ball and she has to get this red ball. And I heard that's your eternal flame. The eternal flame never, ever, ever goes out until you die. So when you're born, they spark your heart. And the God goes, whew, breathes life into your heart. This is what the guides have taught us. And this is what they're saying again. They breathe life into you, and you're conceived, and then your heart starts beating, and you've got this red flame that's an eternal flame. That's the thing that gets covered by emotions and feelings and all of these things inside the snow globe that you have to clear. Otherwise, you don't have an accurate perception of life. Then, in addition to our eternal flame, we have a spark. And our spark of life, or our spark of light, is this, in the show, was this blue ball. And this whole journey, she kept grabbing her red ball and the blue ball and all this stuff. But they were saying that the spark exists after. The spark exists after the like after we die, our spark exists. So our flame may be gone, but our spark continues to exist. So what they're saying is, when our spark continues to exist and we've left all those 7 bubbles that you're talking about, we then enter into a state where we were the one that created the bubble in the first place. And the light is not God. And everybody keeps thinking, oh, the light is God. Oh, bring in the light. I am light. Light. But light is the same as dark. And they are both creations of the all-powerful consciousness that thought a thought, vibrated out a thought, and through that vibration made sound. And that sound then said, let there be light. So there's what we think is God is what we were saying. This is, Peter says, what we were saying is, what you may describe as God is a creation of the eternal one. So there's the eternal one that then vibrates out thought, so to speak. And prior to thought is stillness. So this is the hardest thing to describe. Stillness is actually the God that you all tried to describe as God. It's stillness, because when there is stillness, there is no existence of anything, because with movement of cells, with movement of energy, this creates. So with stillness, God sits in stillness. And this is from this gap with what we have said before is, think, what am I going to think next? What am I going to think next? What's my very next thought? And in that little tiny sliver of after, what am I going to think next? You'll feel that stillness just for that second. And that stillness is where you can truly feel God. You can truly feel God there. So there's what we wanted to say, in addition to your 7-layer thing, is you're standing at the top. You are shining down, Joe. You are God. Joe is God of this 7-bubbled reality. And in this, it's not different Joes in there. It's the same exact Joe, but affected by its reality. So beings are not beings that create the reality around them. Beings are affected by the reality around them. And this is what is so amazing about the collective consciousness of all the beings that are entering into a matrix of reality, a world. When you all decide, we're going to go into Earth, and we're all going to mold and meld our consciousness. And that's going to affect Earth, just like the white horse is a frequency that we put in from the outside into Earth to try to remedy or fix something. When all the consciousnesses forget who they are and they start creating something that's not really what's supposed to be created, we can go in and fix and tweak and change these things. Just think of it like a video game where you go in, but you don't remember that you've gone in, and it's up to you to have programmed enough into your spirit and your subconscious mind, all of your cells, to remember who you are and continue forward on your mission. And this is why guides come in, and this is why angels come in, to remind you of your mission, to remind you of your task, because it's very easy to forget when you've forgotten who you are. But you are standing at the top, Joe. You are God, and you're looking down, and all those little micro versions of you. Sophia, yes, being what you would call the Holy Spirit or angelic, the angelic force that has not fallen. Now, the fallen Sophia would be Shekinah. Shekinah. Many people will worship Shekinah in this name, Shekinah. And this is the fallen aspect of the Holy Spirit that does not have access to eternal electricity, eternal energy, and will drain the life out of them slowly but surely. And so this is very important that people understand. And this is a lecture that we gave to this channel's friend last night. Is there are many people that are psychics, intuitives, healers, channels. Great, wonderful. They channel, they can see stuff, they can hear stuff, they can feel stuff. Wonderful. There's something that exists outside this reality. Great. But do they have their own life force, or are they using yours? Because it takes you opening up your little energy batteries and going, here you go, take all my energy, you can have it, to allow them to do this. And many people will say, oh yeah, here, I'm an open book, read me, tell me what's going to happen in the future, please tell me what's going to happen in the future. So for the sake of having control of this moment, to know what's going to happen then, when it may or may not even happen, you are giving away life force energy that is priceless, in that it keeps you alive, it brings you wisdom, it brings you connection. You must treat your heart energy, your life force energy that's in these bubbles that you talk of, Joe, and that this channel draws in the chart she draws. Treat this life force energy as if it is the blood in your body. And once you give it away, you can't be alive anymore. So treat it like that. And people would do less of the watching of shows where there's people giving ridiculous readings and throwing out questions and trying to get an answer on TikTok or things of this sort, because this is giving away your life force energy. And the readers, the psychics, the healers, the gypsies that are doing these readings don't understand why they feel so amazing after they do readings online. It's because they've now taken energy from each person that they have done these readings for. So we wanted to come in today and, one, warn people about that. Two, also talk about the children and the way that their minds are being completely programmed, because they are the souls. They are the God souls, the God souls. So God incarnated, look at it this way. God from the 6th level incarnated. There's still a 7th level God, and there's still the one outside of everything, the creator self. But the 6th level God incarnated directly into 1,148 souls. 1,148 souls equals well over millions of people. But 1,148 souls incarnated onto this planet to bring God consciousness, to bring a high vibration. And what we are doing is we are disturbing them from the moment they come in by poking their foot, sticking them with a needle, putting something in them that's of this earth, and understanding and knowing that your body is a temple. It has nothing but God within it, the blood that beats through it, everything. It's just pure divinity. You take that the moment a child comes into the world and prick it and stick all the thoughts of all the people that are around them in that room into their etheric body, goes into the baby. And then also any vitamins, vaccines, things of this sort that go into them. And we will not discuss the vaccines. I just said stop with the vaccines. They said, okay, we won't talk about that then. But understand and know that the media that children are watching, the video games children are playing, this is also taking them off their soul path. Because just think, if there are no video games, if there is no media, if there was nothing to teach them that this is good or this is cool or this is right or this is wrong, they wouldn't be doing the things or into the things that they're into. Now we do know that going in as a soul, oh, there's going to be this show down there, I want to be into that. So we're not saying media is bad. We're not saying that at all. What we're saying is Lucifer, Satan, the dark side, do what they can to enter into your children, especially the ones that are God, like the God consciousness. It's beyond the Christ consciousness. It's the God consciousness. So the indigos were the Christ consciousness coming down. And now there's the I am presence, or the God consciousness, the Father entering into this world. And to bring resolution to it, to make it good, to go 5D. And all the beings that need to leech off the energy of all the souls here want nothing more than to keep everybody here so they can continue to exist. So it's a fight for survival on the other side. Does that make sense? Oh my God, my mouth is so dry.
Yeah, a little bit hard to follow, but I'm not psychic. I can't channel like you do. But something has been popping into my head while you've been talking, and somebody's trying to correct me. They're saying, no, that isn't the Father standing there with the ball, which is our universe. That's Christ holding the ball, because there are 200,000. I don't remember exactly what the number is from the Urantia book. Let's just say there's 200,000 universes. So there's 200,000 Christs, and all of them combined are within one big ball that is with the Holy Spirit and the Father. So it isn't God the Father, the ultimate Father, that created this universe. Christ, it's Michael. It's Michael. The one that created this universe is Michael. and he created everything within it, which also includes Lucifer. Lucifer is a creation of Christ.
Really?
And yes,
I
he
thought
created
Lucifer was
everything.
a.
No, he
Uh,
created everything. He created everything. Christ created everything. Lucifer was the bright and morning. No, no, no.
he was
Gabriel
the
is
morning star.
the bright morning star. I believe is Gabriel. The bright evening star. I believe
Oh.
is Lucifer. He was a
Ooh.
bright, 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 bright light. And yes, he was in charge of this world along with about 35, 36 other inhabited planets within our system. And I don't want to go in that
And
direction
this
right
is
now.
according to the Urantia book, correct?
The Urantia book, according to the
Yes.
Urantia book, which is a channel book from Edgar Casey,
Mm-hmm.
most people believe, and so the Sleeping Prophet. So while you were talking, they kept saying, "No, that's not the Father. That's Christ. That's Michael. Michael created this universe, and then he decided to come down into inside his bubble." And he fell in love with his bubble. He fell in love,
And that's the Antichrist.
and that's
So
the
he fell in love with
Antichrist.
it. Mm-hmm.
It was the Antichrist. He himself became both the light and the dark,
Yeah.
and now and they've been ever since the light was able to break away from the darkness. There's been an ongoing battle. It's a battle, 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 battle. The dark side wants your soul, and the bright side wants your soul. They're all created by Christ. They're all created by Michael. Michael became Jesus, and at least for a brief period of time, and so yeah, I just kept hearing that. I kept saying, no, that's not the Father. That's not the Father. The Father holds the ball that has all 200,000 universes in it. And what's beyond the Father? I don't know. Dark space, just empty space. We don't know. We don't know.
I just heard the ultimate, and we can channel the ultimate. I just thought of the ultimate weapon for people that have seen the Lego movie. It's like, he's like, the omelet weapon. They're like, no, that says ultimate. And he goes, that's what I said. The ultimate omelet weapon sounds yummy. It's a silly movie. It's the Lego movie. Anyways, I just thought of that. I'm thinking in cartoons lately, by the way, because I've been watching so many cartoons with the kids. And this was part of my studies today with the guides when I was asking about the assassination, when I was asking about the children and all this. Is they said, Joe, so they said, picture this. You're standing in front of that big ball and you're looking into it, and in it a reflection is created because it's like a snow globe, right? That
Right.
reflection then becomes the Antichrist, and that reflection thinks that it's you. So it thinks it's you. It doesn't know that it's a reflection. It really thinks it's the original. And then that then creates a reflection, which then creates a reflection, which then creates it's like when you look at the mirrors and there's one there and one there, and you can see like a billion U's. It's like that. So
Yeah.
the original us is actually not the one on the outside. It's actually the one on the inside. So there's the big huge bubble, and outside they're saying is Christ, but on the very inside is our true authentic self, that is a hologram basically of all the creations and all the bubbles that it creates. So it's not like you're outside the bubble making a reflection and does that. It's that you're in the center and you're making all these U's like this, and all of them think that they are you, every single last one of them. And the further they get away from that center, like upstairs in our bathroom, we have a mirror here and we have mirrors here. So when I want to see if I look okay in my outfit, I stand up on the bath and I can see the back of me. So I make sure I don't look like hideous or whatever. So I check out myself and I go, whoa, that's a lot of me's in there, because there's just a ton of them and they start curving almost.
Yeah.
So they're saying that the original us is in the center, and the center technically, because if you want to look at us as our chakras and all of this, they're saying the center is in the center of our solar plexus. And they're saying that's our star, our celestial self that was a star, was a bright and shining star, just like how Lucifer fell. So they're saying that we are all creations in that sense. And they said it will get very confusing. We won't get too complicated. But what they want us to understand is that each person sees a completely different reality and a different earth that's created. You can't go into somebody else's brain and look out of their eyes and see the same world. To me, red could be blue and blue could be pink. If me looking at red, I could see red, but you would look at my red and go, no, that's blue.
Yeah.
That's blue. So we could never see what another person's seeing, because that's their experience. And God doesn't want to have the same experience with anyone. He doesn't want to have a duplicate experience. He wants to have zillions of different experiences. And so this is the being the ultimate the ultimate God, or the ultimate energy. So the ultimate energy that enters into this reality is carbon. Okay. Is carbon, and carbon then comes in as a creation. This creation then becomes matter or mass and cells, and becomes the human being that is a divine creation. Think of your body. Think of your body. People abuse their bodies every day. They go, I'm not going to drink enough water. I'm going to starve it. I'm going to lose some weight, and I'm just going to eat this or that. It's Think of the divinity of your body. It is perfect. God made you perfect. And if you're not perfect, it's because you chose to not be perfect, or because you got tricked into reincarnating. So those that got tricked into reincarnating are coming back with an old wineskin. They're coming back with the old wineskin. When we say, do not put new wine into an old wineskin, for it will surely burst. This is your body. Don't come back in the same body that you just died in, because it'll burst easier. It'll break. The old ailments from the life before will happen again. And this is a lot of people that are born with disabilities and ailments, and children. You say, well, how could that child be born with these things? It's because it was a prior lifetime that they're coming back. They got tricked into coming back. So our mission as a whole, this entire soul group, is to encourage people to go into their eternal body, which they can access through the inner part, just between their heart and their solar plexus, through the inner part of their authentic self. In the center of all those mirrors is that them. So when they die, they remember, oh yeah, I'm supposed to go into my authentic self and not stay in one of these mirrors, because you'll stay in a mirror and then you'll end up on this wild ride, like Alice in Wonderland, roaming through all these different portals and worlds. And oh my gosh, where am I? And what am I doing? Oh my gosh, I created all this with my crazy God mind. What is this that I created? And you're seeing all these things that you created through time, when really you just need to leave the creation, go into your eternal self. And then if you want to come back, you come back, but you don't come back as you. And this is the big debate here on this side. Why would anybody want to lose their individuality? Why would anybody want to not be them anymore? And that's Lucifer's argument. Why would I want to lose all of this time and all of this experience and all of this me to just go be you, God, to just have to start all over again if I choose to? But I may not even choose to come back to this world. I may choose to go to that world or that world or that world. I want to stay in this world because this is where all my people are. This is what I love is here. I want to stay here. It's like throwing a fit. I want to stay here. His wings are like going up and down. He's like a baby, like throwing a fit. And he says, and like, so Satan is the piece of the Holy Spirit that's created with here. And they've just got it all rigged to where they don't ever have to end this reality because they don't want to. So I'm not talking directly to them. I'm talking to the source. So the source says, and this is ultimately what humanity is all about. This is ultimately what the dark and the light and all of this is involved in, is, do we want to end our existence or do we want to continue on? People say, oh, Revelations is coming, existence is going to cease to exist and we're all going to be wiped out. And that's quite literally what you have to look forward to if you decide to not be you anymore, because you wipe out all of the yous that ever lived and you wipe out all that memory and you go into being that which created it, which created all the 144,000 other souls in your soul group as well. So then you become a collective of all of them. But at this level of consciousness, we can't even picture or imagine being any more than that which we are. And we're speaking from the 8th level. We're speaking, this is Christ talking. We're speaking from here and speaking to the channel that is in the center of the mirrors. So there's a question in mind of, is it really bad? Is it good? And it helps you to see a perspective that you haven't seen before when you look at politics, when you look at religion, when you look at all these things and the duality of it, and you say, that's bad. Well, it keeps you in your individuality, it keeps you from ascending. But at the same time, those who are into ascension are like, get rid of government, get rid of parties, get rid of establishment, get rid of the churches, get rid of all that, because it just makes us divide. So everybody's going to be different. And that's the beauty of the human experience.
That's some pretty heavy stuff. I've pretty well told people that I feel like I'm like a kindergarten teacher and you're a college professor. But it's nice to have someone like Eden, who's one of my guides. He might be my angel. I don't know. But one thing with Eden, we kind of made clear when we first started doing all this stuff about a little over 12 years ago, was keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. So if Eden is with you right now, can she summarize what you just said
Yeah.
to a kindergartner?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me get her in here. She goes, I swear she's like she's you, but she's not you. She's like your counterpart. Like you're maybe like the divine masculine. She's the divine feminine of you, and so she's like you're like she's just.
I know she gets frustrated with me.
Yeah, she gets very frustrated, but it's funny because it's like cute, funny how she gets frustrated. But okay, so she says,
yeah, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it simple for a kindergartner, for people like me. That was very deep stuff. So I just want to see, give me the cliff notes. Give me the cliff notes.
Okay. As we step into this channel today, we bring delight, we bring sight, we bring vision, we bring excitement into this world. For the spiritual pieces of us that are happiness, joy, excitement are that which is me. I bring happiness to you. So there are different guides that bring different frequencies, different vibrations, and different feelings into a person. And these different feelings affect us. These different emotions affect us. So in this world that you live in this bubble. And depending on what feelings you feel, this is what you'll see in the world. If you have happiness around you, you'll see a happy world. If you have anger around you, you'll see an angry world. And that's really the very basic, simple description of how you, as a being that creates your world that you live in, create it. So if you choose to be around happiness, you call in happiness, and happiness will help you be happy and create a happy world. And whatever falls into alignment with being happy will start to happen. So if your brain says happiness is chocolate ice cream with a cherry on top, somebody will walk up to you and go, here's some chocolate ice cream with a cherry on top. If you are pulling in anger or fear or resentment, then that will start to show up in your life because you are an almighty creator being that is chosen to forget that you are so that you won't remember the movie. Look at it like a movie that you created, you wrote, you directed it, you made the entire thing, you casted it, you put all the actors in it, and you're the main actor. And you don't want to know what's going to happen because you want to be surprised. You want to experience things that you think will be exciting prior to entering into the world and creating it. So you just must decide how you want to feel in this life. And if you're feeling awful, you're feeling bad, you're feeling in pain, all these things, you pray and you ask to not be feeling that anymore. You ask that someone or something that represents happiness or not even health. Can you be happy when you're not healthy? Can you be happy when you're sick? You may want to say no, but people can. If people found that attention is more important than anything in the world and they get attention and that makes them happy, then they'll spend their entire lives sick because that sickness gets them attention and therefore they're happy now. So everybody's different. Everybody is different, and thinking that you're just like everybody else is the big flaw in the design of the world, because people just must understand that you're creating this reality and you have to dig into what is it that makes me happy? Why am I happy? What's making me happy about having cancer? What's making me happy about having this disease? What is making me happy? What good thing is happening and what's making me happy? And be honest, and then ask God to take that away. Say, God, please take away the happiness I feel when I have attention, whether I'm sick or not. Please, just I don't know how to do it, but please do it for me. And your team will rush in and they'll start going to work, healing you, shifting you, and changing you, and you will heal. And you have to allow yourself to heal. You have to allow that to happen because a lot of people will not. But we know we went on a little bit onto a tangent, but somebody needed to hear that. So we just wanted to share that with you about the happiness.
Yeah, I can believe that. I can think of somebody, I probably shouldn't say her name just in case she's watching, but it's somebody that both of us know.
Oh, she's watching.
You know, she just wanted to let everybody know of all the terrible things medically or whatever was wrong with her. It was an ongoing thing. Everybody had to know all her problems. But that was, to me, it seems like that was her way of getting attention and sympathy. And she just loved it. That's what she loved, was the attention she would get and the sympathy that she would get.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say the person's name, but
Yeah,
you
no,
know
don't.
who I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah, yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I can believe what you're saying. I don't know if you know what you just said,
Mm-mm.
but in essence, what Eden was saying, I'll recap a little bit,
She's
is
got. She's
that
talking about that movie, Inside Out. If you guys haven't seen it, watch it. It's very good.
hmm,
Inside Out.
what she
So
was
it's kind of like
saying
that.
was that basically our whole intent on being in this existence, in this world, in this movie is to be happy. But everybody
Or whatever
finds
we want to be. Whatever we want to be. We have to choose what we want. No,
well
it's happy.
the
No, no,
intent
I'm
the
wrong. I'm wrong. She just corrected me. It's to be happy.
yeah the
Hmm.
intent of every single person on this earth is to live a happy life. But some
Huh.
people live a happy life by getting lots of attention, by pointing out all the miseries in their life. So
Yeah.
by pointing out all the miseries and living in those miseries, they're getting all this happiness because they're getting all these people's attention. But because they're thinking negative, all they're ever going to get is negative, negative, negative things happening to them. But then again, they're happy because everybody looks at that person and says, "Oh, we feel so bad for you. Can we make you a chicken pot pie? Can I make you a cheesecake?" They go, "Yeah, I think I could. I think I could eat a piece of cheesecake." You
That makes
know,
me feel much better. Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah. So everybody finds their own way of finding happiness. Some people find happiness through feeling terrible. You're living an awful life, but if they can get some sympathies from people, that makes them happy.
Well, get
So
this. Get this. Some people find happiness through conflict.
yeah,
So, say you have a parent that was very conflicted, like very like I think of Grandpa Joe,
uh-huh.
it's like you have a parent that the only attention they give you is when you were bad or
Yeah,
when you acted out. So people will begin to grow up thinking, "Oh, I need to be bad in order to get attention," and then the happiness they get is they start to receive happiness from conflict. Like it's like arguing or debating and things of this sort. So there's all these different ways that people bring this happiness into them, and it's really all, oh, this is what they're getting at. They said it really all is kind of determined prior to birth and up until about the age 7, when everything around us, we're just a sponge, just sucking everything in, sucking everything in, sucking everything in. And as we suck all of that into our environment, it's being put into our little environment inside here where our original self is, and that's where we're reflecting out all those mirrored selves that are experiencing all of these different versions of us. Like you said earlier, one of us goes left, there's another one right there in the mirror that goes right. So
yeah,
it's that one's experiencing going right, and then it goes for infinite. It goes because then inside there's someone in the mirror, and it goes in there. So we don't want to go too deeply into it, but there's so many dimensions, so many different aspects of self, that when people say, "Oh, I need to heal myself," it's like, what part of yourself do you want to heal? What part of you is sick? Because this is the kicker: is you can get stuck in a mirror. You can get stuck in one of those mirrors, and again, you think that's you. You heal that you, but then you go into a different mood, or you get pulled into another mirror by somebody, and all of a sudden you're sick again, and you're going, "What's the deal? I was healed. I was all better for a couple months, and now I'm sick again because you've fallen into a mirror where you didn't heal yourself." So it's very important that you bring yourself into your authentic, true, real self and ask for the healing from there. And this is why this channel healed from the Lord's Prayer. She got pulled into the center, authentic self, said the Lord's Prayer, and healed all the mirrors of herself with her tooth, with her mouth. And you, Joe, you healed yourself all except for one body. And that's where you get in pain again, and with your back or something like that, back and shoulder.
yeah.
But this is the you that Eden says is the most stubborn. It's the second one in. It's not the authentic self. It's the one that's the mirror of that authentic self. And it's like, no, I'm Joe. I'm Joe Morris. And it's like, no, I'm Joe Morris. He's like, no, I'm Joe Morris. And it's like created this reality in here that has all its mirrors and everything, and it really thinks it's you. Oh, that's the ego. So our ego is the very first mirrored reflection of us, and that's the us that we become when we when we forget that we are, when we fall from the garden. That's the Michael. Michael looks into the mirror and he falls in love with that creation and goes, oh, it's so amazing in there. Phew, falls in and then loses access to that center
Yeah,
self. Interesting. So do kids have access? They said all children have access to that center self until they're 6, or until they've had a trauma that forces them into the mirror to escape the trauma of feeling that 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 feeling and not being able to do anything about it. That's very interesting.
Hmm. Well,
Mm.
listen, the show that got pulled from YouTube,
Mm.
we had been, you were channeling um, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump from their debate. So there's a lot of people that did not get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have a long way to go. We haven't gotten
Yeah.
very far through it. So I don't know if you want to
Well,
get
I think we
started
should
on
talk
that.
about the assassination first. So let's talk
No,
about the assassination
let's yeah, because
real quick.
we got about 20 minutes
I'm
or
gonna do
so.
this.
So yeah, let's see what the other side has to say about this
I'm gonna do this.
second
Assassin. So I
assassination
know when
thing.
I'm editing this assassination. Okay, there. At least when I'm editing it, that'll make it easy. I'll go, oh, there it is. Okay. So the assassination, this is what they're saying. Now I have a question for you, Papa. With the cabal, is the cabal the big families like Ford and or like the car? Who's the car companies? Because they kept talking about the car companies, like the
Basically, I, I'm not really that educated
uh,
and understand it all. All I know is that there are two enormous organizations, financial organizations, that own majority shares of almost every major corporation. In other words, they're the mouthpieces for almost every major corporation, which might include Ford, and that's BlackRock and Vanguard. They own the assets of everything. I mean, everything except Musk. They can't buy in. They can't overtake Musk because he's gone private. SpaceX is
oh,
private. Twitter, which is called X now, is private. Nobody can buy
mm,
shares into those and take them over on Musk. Musk is separated from the cabal. And the cabal, I believe, is what's his name, Larry something from BlackRock, and I forget who the name of the
okay.
guy at Vanguard is. We talked about it in the
Yes.
last one that it's those two guys that set the news every day, because all the media corporations are owned by them as well. So everybody takes orders from above. Now, who BlackRock and Vanguard have within their circle, I think there's about 20 different people, which includes, probably the
The
richest
Clintons, Obama, all those on that side now with their
yeah, Soros and I don't know, just Prince Charles, King Charles. There's just probably about 20 people that are in this cabal. What my question is, who's in charge of the cabal? Who's number one?
I
Who's
just heard
number
God.
one? I can't see God in that cabal unless
God's not in the cabal. God is okay. So this is what they're showing me. They're showing the cabal. So I'm seeing somebody that's kind of like this, standing there like this, and it's left hand over here. I see like cabal, and it's got this infrastructure of reality and all of these like it's like it looks like one of those grids. It's like a line, like family tree, kind of like family tree, but it's got little bubbles all around it, and that's like the God chart of reality that's created. And then this being that's going like vibrating is just kind of like with its eyes rolled back, and it's like just not even like present. It's just kind of like this, but it's because it's in creation. It's like in there. It's not, there's nothing in charge. It's like it was created and now it's just running. It's just running, and it's up to this being that's come into the creation to just kind of play and figure it out and see what's going on. Now over here on the right side, I see kind of like this like mist almost coming from like the heart of this being, and it's going down into and through. I see Lucifer, I see Michael, I see all these like star beings that are over here in this other kind of like light bubble, and this light bubble is projecting itself into this structure over here, and it's almost like the essence is shining into this little infrastructure that this being with its eyes rolled back is created. Now if I ask to see my life, because I don't really have any relationship with like the cabal or whatever, I see me with my hands out like this. I see the infrastructure of my life. I see my soul. If I ask to see you, I see you. If I ask to see anybody that's watching this show, like Aaron or Pam or anyone that's watching that always watches the show, I see them with their left hand and their right hand, their essence over here. And this is my right side. The left side is that infrastructure. And everybody has the same infrastructure, but because of the like what we are, our beliefs, our ideas that are created within us from our ancestors, it's our DNA. The DNA is ultimately what our program is when we come into this world, our ultimate programming. And we live inside this. The cabal is its own being. I just heard Rosenthal. It's a being. It's a being that's actually creating that reality or that world. And remember, what we had said was every being that's inside of Earth, inside of this big, think of it like a big IMAX movie theater, like a big sphere. And as soon as somebody walks into the sphere, you may see the world around you on the movies. And second somebody walks in, it changes just a little bit, just a bit, because of all their beliefs, all their ideas, and everything that's in it. Now, what we want you to understand is whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, whether you're for Trump or you want him to die, whether you are for Kamala or you want her to die, what doesn't matter. What you must understand is you are a human being through and through. You're a human being. You've chosen to be a human being, and you are God incarnate. You are living this life. Treasure that and love every human, even if you think that they are bad, even if you think that they're the scum of the earth because they don't believe what you believe. You're all here, and it's up to you as human beings to keep humanity going in an ascension like process, because as you stay, if you die, now you're a dead person and your body is gone, and now you can't make another body. So now you're going to have to go into a baby that's born, and now that baby's going to have two souls. It's going to have you possessing it and it with its own soul. And this is where the world has gotten so distorted, because the beings that die just come right back through a child that shouldn't have them attached to it in the first place. And this is where Earth has become very, very, very convoluted. And we want to rise up out. This is Christ talking, and we want to rise up out of this into Christ consciousness. But the Earth and everything that wants everyone in it is doing whatever it can to keep people, making them reincarnate, make them come back. So we don't want to get too complicated, but just know and understand that you are an eternal being of light, and you have to treasure that and love that, and know that there is nothing beyond God. You had asked, who's in charge of God? Nothing. There's nothing in charge of God. God is God. And then God creates, and everything then forms around God. And then the form around God then affects God. And then vice versa, and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth forever. But the ultimate archetype, or the ultimate archetype of the perfect man is the Admon. I've heard this before. Admon, Cadmon. I just heard Admon, Cadmon. This is the original man. And this original man, or Adam, as you call him, Adam is what comes before God. You had a question, and we are finally answering it. Adam comes before God. Not the God, not the Father that shone down on Adam, but the actual God, because God became Adam and then created a God for itself to rule over it. But Adam was outside of the reality prior to entering in as the original Adam, and that is the one that's truly in charge. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
somebody had to make Adam, but what you're saying is Adam is the one that created God.
Well, Adam has
in this movie. Well, somebody had to create the earth.
It's Adam.
And the Adam.
Mm-hmm. It's Adam. So
in order to make this fictional God.
Yeah, but
because
Adam
nobody can see God except his results. Right now, I don't know if anybody can see, but, when we talk about God's results, just look at God's results. I mean, oops, I just walked into the window again.
He did that earlier.
I did that earlier.
You need to make your window dirty.
Who else could make this? Look at this.
I know.
Who else could make this? Seriously.
So what they're showing me like intergalactic beings. They're showing me like a big being in this like spaceship type of thing going like, let's use hydrogen, some oxygen, let's create water. Let's see if this sphere will take to this environment. Let's create this. And it's like you were seeing someone with those spheres. I'm seeing just people in labs just creating things over in another world. And there's another world that's a little bit more progressed than us. And then we then create another world to make us think that there's not another world just like it, and then we enter into it. So it's eternally progressive in that there's beings that know more than us, that are us, but they're going to make sure that we don't know as much as them, because then if we did know and we did remember, then it wouldn't be fun to be in here in the first place. So the God, but they're saying the God of the underworld and the God of the overworld, of the upper worlds, of the heavens, is Adam. Adam is that is man. And prior to man, interesting, said there is nothing. So how does how is man just created? They're saying that God spoke it into existence, like the man, and it's done.
I think the Anunnaki made us, but then who made the Anunnaki?
Exactly. So they're saying that no, the Anunnaki made the etheric bodies.
Yeah,
not
these
Adam.
bodies.
So they made the energy
physical
bodies that house the spirits that live in these divine beings that can house God. So man is the only creation that can actually embody the amount of light required to access 100% of the brain and embody God completely. So as we ascend and as we continue to accept more light particles into us, we allow our frequencies to spin faster. We allow ourselves to be healed quicker. We allow ourselves to manifest quicker, and we allow ourselves to remember who we are. This is the ascension and the progression and the maturing of us in these man beings, not man or woman, for all of those that get hung about man and woman. We're talking about humans. So the humans, as we allow more light into us, we become smarter. We become more well versed in this world. We were speaking of this last night, in that 100 years ago, people were practically still hitting each other over the head with a club and dragging them off into a cave. But we were exaggerating. But I was talking about that with Jeff. I was saying, like, yeah, it's like people were barbaric before, and he was like, we need to bring a little bit more barbaricism back into the kids, because the kids are getting soft. The kids don't, the kids are just spoiled and entitled. And this, he wasn't talking about our kids. We were just talking about like kids in general, and they don't have to fight for food. They don't have to survive. They just, get it out of a little package, warm it up and eat it. And it's very easy to live in this world. And so, and I said, but that's good. And Jeff said, no, we should have to fight. And I said, well, what if us getting to this easy part then allows us to be in a bigger piece of ourselves that doesn't have to worry about survival, but that then allows us to then create bigger and better realities and worlds. And I heard the guide say, this is what we are doing through virtual reality. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So it's almost like we're like made by virtual reality, like in a sense, we're all in virtual realities, and somewhere there's the original self that we are. And there is where God created that atom. And it's just all so multi-layered. It's so confusing. It makes my head spin. My head is about to spin right now, because the information comes through and then I want to block it because I want to go, wait, but what about this? Peter says, then let me talk. Peter says, this is what you must remember. You are the rock that is this earth. You are that which stands upon it. You are the trees that grew in the earth. You are the animals. You are everything. You are everything. It's what you choose to focus your attention on. So what we must bring through today is, if you choose to focus your attention on things that are not ascension based, you will be feeding the earth that wants to stay you, that you want to stay Joe. This channel wants to stay Marisa. Aaron wants to stay Aaron. Shelly wants to stay Shelly. You want to stay you. And that's the ego. The ego wants to stay itself because it's afraid of, if I'm not me, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. So if you want to stay in that, then there is absolutely nothing wrong with living in duality and all of these things. But ultimately, you were designed to remember who you are. You were designed so that you could then live life, be happy, remember who you are, get to the end of the road, pop over into your eternal body again, and then create all over again, or go live the exact same course all over again in a different way, in a different person, in a different reality, in a different world. But maybe experience the you that you are now from a different, like as your husband or something like that. So it's just like a movie being recorded. The first way through, you record the movie. The next time through, you just relive over and over and over. And this is not reincarnation. This is not reincarnation. This is just reviewing and living the same life over and over and over, because every little intricacy of this life is created by you. Every single second of this life you've created. Don't
Yeah.
think anything is not by design. Everything's by design. When you walk off your path in quote unquote sin, when you don't walk with God, you fall off your track, you lose your electricity, and then you die, unless you find your way back. But you've got about 7 years to find your way back before you run out of energy. Interesting.
So you can
It's
be
like a
an
mirror.
atheist for about 7 years, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's not even atheists. Some atheists believe in God more than people that are agnostic. Some people that are atheists just hate God. They hate God, so they go, well, then
Yeah.
God's not real anyways. And neither is the Easter Bunny
Yeah.
or Santa Claus. So it's like they get so mad that they avow that God isn't real. But it's just, do you have that light within you? And Trump being shot at, this is the big thing.
He didn't get shot at this time. They caught him before he got shot.
Yeah, but he knows that they were close enough to do something. That is all that matters. He is stubborn. He falls into his first mirror, enters into that ego self, and says, that's me. I'm me, and this is what I'm going to do. He was hired by the delegates of the auto industry, of the banking industry, to get the earth back in order, based on his knowledge and his understanding of what he knows in this world and this reality, his relationships, his ability to deal with things, and their orders. He doesn't like orders. So know that as things get closer, as the election gets closer, he will be being taught, if you don't do this, or if you don't follow this, then this will happen. So there's a little bit of struggle or push-pull type of power struggle going on in him, understanding that he technically isn't in charge, even though if he's president. And either are the other guys. No one that's a president is in charge. They are the mouthpiece. They are the face. They are hired based on their knowledge, their understanding. And the reason why, just as we have said before, he wasn't president again was because he wasn't following the orders. So they had to take him out without taking him out and put someone else in.
I have a different take on that. I remember in 2020, in our conversations, in our sessions, or whatever we would do together, I'd say, wait a minute, 2020 in our vernacular forever meant clarity. So how could we end up with this pandemic in 2020? What's so clear about this? Well, you know what? Since 4 years have gone by, I now realized I think God had to take Trump out of the presidency so that the world could be exposed, that the evil has exposed themselves. All those governors that all of a sudden became dictators and made you stay in your house, and people made you get that jab, and you couldn't do this and you couldn't do that.
That helps some people.
I have a feeling. I don't know. We talked about about the white horse and the red horse last time, but it got taken away. I have a feeling that the red horse had to expose itself. The evil of the red horse had to expose itself. Now it's up to God whether the white horse energy gets to overcome the red horse, or whether the red horse will take us on to the black horse. Keep in mind, each horse is 7 years. So if Trump came along in late 2014, if the white energy came along late 2014 and then Trump became in the picture in the summer of 2015, doesn't matter. It's broken down into 3.5 years. White horse energy is the first 3.5 is preparing for peace and prosperity. The second 3.5 is preparing for the red horse to come in to beat the peace and prosperity down. In 2021, in comes the red horse. And the red horse for 3.5 years takes us pretty much right here into 2024. The first 3.5 years of the red horse are almost done. Then the next 3.5 years is preparing us for the black horse.
The pink horse is coming.
but the black horse, of course, is plagues and
The
disasters
black
and
horse isn't
wars
coming.
and just the world's going to just.
The
So
black horse
this is
isn't coming
so
though.
big. What's that?
So Satan's side over here
Is the black horse?
wants everyone to stay here. So they are, in essence, so Satan's side is almost putting in frequencies into the earth that will create an existence where the black horse is coming. Satan doesn't want to cease to exist, doesn't want all of its people to die. Satan is God too, but just cut off from the main energy source. It's the first mirror. So God, the original source of all creation, the Holy Spirit, is in the middle of all those mirrors. And its very first mirror is Satan. That very first mirror. And so it believes it's the Holy Spirit. It believes it's creation. It believes it is everything. And it doesn't want to lose life either. So it doesn't want people dying or anything of this sort. It doesn't want to die. Let's put it that way. It doesn't want to die. It doesn't want to cease to exist. And it can only exist when beings are born onto the earth, because then that little spark of life from God enters into the earth and into that baby or that child, and that then brings energy to the earth for it to continue to exist. Now, and this is the thing that is hard to understand for this channel. This is what we've been struggling to get through is, you may say you don't like this delegate. You may say you don't like this delegate. You may say you don't like politics at all. You may say all of these things. All of them are working for something or someone and some frequency or some vibration or some cause. But what ultimately we want to do is we want to protect Earth from the beings, the etheric beings, just as you said, the Anunnaki, the beings that were not created by this earth. They weren't created by this earth. They were created somewhere else, and they're invading this earth. So this is a spiritual warfare that people will see it as spiritual warfare. It's an intergalactic space war in essence. And this is something that this channel is going to get very upset that I'm talking about, because it sounds crazy. I just said, that sounds crazy,
Yeah.
Peter. And Sophia says, it sounds crazy.
Yeah.
How do you know? How do you know that there are not beings trying to come live inside of you? How many of you have had repetitive, negative, looping thoughts that are not your own over and over and over? You can't get rid of them, no matter what. It's like a song stuck in your head. It's like, why do I keep thinking about stabbing myself? Or why do I keep thinking about this thing? It's because these beings will enter into your field and they'll think horrible thoughts, impending doom thoughts. My child's going to die. I'm going to die. All these things, because it brings the
And they're
vibration
sucking the light out of you while they're leaving that garbage behind.
Yes. And they're doing this so they can step into your body, because they can't get in when you have love, when you're at a frequency of compassion, strength, hope. When you have Christ in you and you are walking in Christ, these beings can't affect you. And this is the scariness of the new age movement and without Christ, because people say, oh, I can see energy, and oh, I can read the future, and I can do all these things. That's great. But do you have Christ in your heart? Are you in your Christ body? Because if not, something is controlling you. Something can affect you. Something will affect you. And then you'll affect somebody else, and then they'll affect someone else. And it's like an infection running through this world. So really the fight here is these bodies that are coming to try and live in this planet without having to go through the incarnation process. They don't want to. They don't want to lose who they are. So this, let's say Earth, Satan, Lucifer, they all continue to exist, and you continue to exist, and you remain you, Joe, and then this channel remains her, and you're all dead, and you're on the other side, and you've run out of souls to use. So you all just pick up shop and you go, let's take Earth somewhere else. Let's take Earth somewhere else. Let's go exist somewhere else. And you see a big shiny planet with all these souls incarnating, and you go, ooh, that's where we're going. But you can't get in because you don't have love in you. You don't have love. You don't have soul energy. So you slip in and you trick somebody into letting you in, telling them you're God or something. And you get in that door. Once you're in that door, you start infecting that world, that reality, and you start incarnating there by just stepping into their field, because it's that easy when somebody's ungrounded. It's that easy. And the Bible warns about this all the time. The Bible tries to, they try to explain it, but understand and know that a world is trying to incarnate in your world, and everyone's fighting over which politician they want, when it doesn't matter, because the politicians are all working for the same person. They're all working for the same people, and those people want to preserve Earth, and they want to preserve against the aliens. They know what's going on. The Democratic side, you would say, with Satan, knows all the alien invasion stuff that is going on. the other side, what we were showing this channel with Lucifer and all these things, they want to continue to exist in the essence of that which they are. They understand what's going on. Everyone understands what's going on, but the society can't know, because then everyone will go into complete fear and panic, and that completely defeats the purpose of
everyone being the spiritual world, or including the human beings as well. I think as humans,
the president
I think we're
got
all
on the TV today and said, aliens are invading you. You can't see them. You cannot see them. You can't feel them. They're invisible. We can't control them. The only way that we can keep them away from us is if somebody has one in their field, don't come within 6 feet to them. Don't look into their mouth as they speak, because then your soul will connect with their essence. Do not get close enough to where if somebody has access, if the interplanetary beings have access to somebody's field because they've let them in, don't get close enough to them to let those beings into your field, because then they'll go into their field.
How does the person protect themselves? How can a person protect themselves from allowing? So
Christ,
they have
consciousness, mass media explosion.
They have to consciously say, Christ, take over my life and let me walk in the path that you have set for me. I always say it's just,
cradle me in your arms, keep me safe. Christ, cradle me in your arms and keep me safe. That's it.
And there's so many people out there that are going, oh, that's religion. Oh,
it's not religion. It's a body.
No, it can't be religion.
It's a body.
I don't want to be religious. This isn't religion.
Getting into your Christ body gets you into the you that's outside of that, the authentic you that's right there, and the you that is looking over everything. You're now in that. So when you think a thought, it creates in your little sphere that you were talking about, Joe. You're in the sphere, standing in the middle. You make that authentic you right there and there. But there's a you that is so big, so bright that you can't even really even see that those are bubbles. It's just a little tiny speck. And you think a thought and it vibrates through all those realities and all those worlds, and all those little tiny yous in there are experiencing it all separately. But that's the beauty of creation, because you are the ultimate creator. Everyone is, in a sense, because you are all that being up there. And that is the Elohim. The Elohim are the ones that are the creators of the essence of Lucifer, of Satan, of the whole story. And the Elohim, prior to the Elohim, you're going to step into the Gabriel energy. You're going to step into the God energy. And these are all the angelics and the watchers and the keepers and the founders and all of this. But it's very hard to get into the vibration of the Elohim and keep that vibration. So this is why we were just saying, ask Christ to cradle you in his arms, keep you safe. And we will say that Trump knew about this. And this is why the face masks. And this is why standing 6 feet away from somebody when the etheric bodies were taking over the planet. So they came and trying to keep people safe. Don't go, you're around your family, you know their energy, but you go out into public and you're talking with somebody up close, you're chatting with them, you look at them in their eye, their mouth, the breath, all of these things that make you. And this is how these beings would enter into each other, through the eyes, through the mouth. And if you did not go within that amount of vicinity within them, they couldn't step into your field. Yes, things can step into your field from a distance. You can think a thought in a hologram, or a thought or an energy will come into your field just talking to them on the phone. But it's the actual physical interaction between people that an etheric body can enter in and possess another being. It has to be there. They have to be physically there. You can connect with your mind. Because I said that's dumb, because I do healings from a distance and I can connect with somebody from here to there. I just told God he was dumb. But he says, sorry, I didn't mean to say God was dumb. Peter's like, you said God was dumb.
God.
Okay. He's like, Peter. God. Okay. But no, he says that it's our consciousness can blend with our thoughts, but our physicality, our physical divinity, the creation that we are, the God self, the temple, that can't be possessed by another physical being unless you have sex with them, you touch them, you're near them. It's that type of thing. Or injecting that you can get like a blood transfusion and have their blood put into your field, and a little bit of them can get into you. But he says that's besides the point. So COVID was for a reason. The pandemic, the 2 week shutdown, the 3 weeks, all that was for a reason. That was because we knew those souls were coming, and they were trying to protect us and keep us safe in our own bodies. And that was what that was for. But then everyone just rode with it, and it just became something just out of control. But just as we said, you said they locked you down, they dictators, they kept you inside the house. They also knew what was going on and they were freaked out as well. So it was human beings. What do we do? These things are coming in here. What do we do? And we don't want to tell everyone, hey everyone, there's aliens that are invisible coming to invade your family and take you over. So just remain calm and just stay at your house and make sure you have a bunch of toilet paper on hand. I mean, it didn't. There was no way to prepare anybody for anything, but we've made it through it. We made it through it. And most of those beings are gone that came in because we have ascended to a higher vibration. Now we just need to stay in the higher vibration of love, peace, joy, and trust and courage and all of these things. And we are well on our way into that. People think the world is coming to an end. The old world is coming to an end. The new world is just right around the corner. And you don't have to do anything for it other than just, Christ, cradle me in your arms, keep me protected. That's it. That's all. Let Christ walk with you. Let him be your feet. Let his arms be your cradle. Let his heart be what you rest your ear upon and listen to when you are looking for guidance. Listen to Christ's heart. Know and understand that you are his child and you'll always be his child and you are loved.
Very good. We've run over. Let's let 24 hours of news go by and get back into the secular world a little bit tomorrow.
Okay.
And just see what the other side wants to say about what's going on.
Okay.
But at least it will be another 24 hours into the news cycle and maybe something new is going to happen. I am so scared because Obama, when he was in power, he made an agreement with Iran that they could have a nuclear weapon in 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And Trump tried to kill that, but Biden brought it all back in again. And the experts are saying that they could have a nuclear weapon ready to obliterate Jerusalem and all of Israel within the next 3 months.
See,
they could do this. They could do it. They could literally wipe Israel off the map before the elections even come, because Obama allowed that to happen, and without any of Congress's approval. I mean, that Iran deal was strictly Obama and who was it? John Kerry was his Secretary of State. It's evil. They
want this world to continue to exist. So if they have to blow up somebody, like, it'll continue to make people it'll put people into fear. So we'll stay here. We won't ascend. So one side is about ascension and the other part, like Lucifer actually wants to ascend up out of this reality. Like he wants to go back into God. Like he's not like let's stay here forever. Like he's like over it. Like that's what they're showing me. But Satan's like, I'm the Holy Spirit down here and I'm amazing. But the angels that fell, they want to go back. They want to go back to where they were because they're like, this sucks. It's like Groundhog Day every day. Everything's the same. We're just living the same existence over and over and over. And on some level is what they're showing me. This is what Peter's saying. Peter's saying, so it's not necessarily like light against dark. It's about the fact that if we're in fear, we stay down here. If we're not in fear, just like Jesus told us to walk on water, we need to rise up out of the water world, leave fear behind, have courage, walk on water. And that's when we leave up out of that water world. But they're saying one more thing is know that just as we spoke about the archons, that's why they got rid of the show, the archons, because we talked about the archons. So the archons are the beings that live off of our negativity and they put negativity in our field. And even if you believe, Joe, that Trump is this and Trump's this wonderful thing and he has all his own thoughts and all this, he's a hired person. They hired somebody that they knew could do the job. And these are these families that rule over these different industries in the world. And there's the finances, there's the pharmaceutical industry families, there's the medical ones, there's the car ones, and the car chips during COVID. This is all part of one of the families said, well, if you're not going to do this for us, guess what we're going to do? And they, in essence, helped destroy.
Take you out. Yeah.
They in essence tried to destroy the world and the economy, the banking industry, because it was the banking industry against the car industry family. So they're like, oh yeah, well, watch us do this. Ha ha ha. And these are people. These are not spirits. These are not aliens. These are people on the planet that are pulling power plays saying, well, then we'll just make it so that people can't buy or sell their cars without this much money and this and this. So they work together and then they work separately. They work together, they work separately. So there has to be a person that kind of helps them all get along. And that person was the queen, and the queen is no longer with us. And there's the person
Gotcha.
that has the royal blood of the queen and another individual they're showing me in Russia, I think, have access to channeling the creator on the other side, and they go a lot off of what they say, and it's all kind of like not Anunnaki, it's kind of like Illuminati stuff and Mason stuff. It's all very like the stuff we're seeing is the stuff that's the infrastructure that's made up, and it's the reality is an infrastructure, and they built it all, and that's what we're living in. And this side over here, like where I saw Lucifer, because Trump was talking with an archon in his field. He was in fear because somebody did something to knock out one of his policies or something like that. So he's afraid. So then he's spouting out words that's freaking everybody out and putting everyone in fear. So that is good for the archons. It keeps us in a low vibration. So it's like there's nobody's good and nobody's bad. There's just emotions. So if you can help it, if you can watch the news and not go into fear, or ask to be surrounded with Christ's love so that you won't go into fear. I just want to know what's going on, or this entertains me. I want to watch, but I don't want to get angry. I don't want to get mad, because angry people are self-empowered. They feel self-empowered and righteous, and you cannot convince somebody that's angry that they're wrong. There's nothing you can say to convince them that they're wrong. So being right is amazing. Being angry is amazing when they're afraid, because it's way better than being afraid. So sometimes people being angry, they just sit there all day long and tap away like a warrior on their keyboard and just fight with people and argue with people because they feel empowered and they feel right. And there's nobody there to say, actually, you're wrong. So it's just the world we're living in. Just all we ask is ask to be in the arms of Christ, protected, and try not to get angry and try not to get afraid. Just know that everything is happening for a reason. It's all in divine order. And if it gets messed up, we just start it all over again so it can keep on going. Just as we have said before, this earth has ended a few times, and it just keeps on going because it's a creation of your own mind and you are God.
Yeah, I gotta believe that all the little people, so-called little people, that built all those monuments all around the world, supposedly, they're gone. I mean, they're gone. There's no ancestors of them anywhere. So
What
it's
little
like,
people?
well, like the Aztecs and the Mayans and the Egyptians, the workers that supposedly built all the and all the Hindus and whatever that were in Southeast Asia or whatever, where there's lots of monuments all through there as well, all through the jungles that have been overgrown. It's like people got wiped out. I mean, it's like this earth was wiped out. Maybe an atomic war. Maybe we had
Yeah.
an atomic winter for about 100 years, which meant no plants grow, no food grows. All the animals die because there's no sunshine, and people die. They just die.
What's an atomic holocaust?
What's that?
I just heard atomic holocaust.
Atomic holocaust.
I just heard an atomic holocaust or something, but I saw Adam up there, the original Adam, going, and like wiping it out, but not getting rid of the infrastructure, not getting rid of like the actual grid of like what Earth is, because Earth would be too hard to create a planet all over again, but just almost like getting rid of the essence of all the creation that happened, wiping it away, and then just starting fresh, because he's still there. He still exists. He's just putting all of his creations that he made that got all distorted inside that world back in there and starting fresh again. But the earth still remains the same. So it carries the memories of what it is inside of it. And some things stay the same. And like, you know, like the pyramids and all that stuff are still there, but the people are just put back on the planet again. And it's as if they were never not there. That's such a trip. I can't wrap my brain around the fact that we're like a computer program or something. I just can't do it. I have to think that it's something greater than that. But at the same time, what's greater or less than anything? It just is what it is, right? That's me talking. That's not the guides.
You know what I found amazing, and I'll let everybody go because we got to go. Was, you know, a few months ago we went to the pyramids in Mexico City, and we saw the pyramid of the sun, the pyramid of the moon, and it was just, you know, mind-boggling, all the development, you know, in and around those pyramids. But I recently saw a picture of the guy who found them. Now, you would think that the people that built them have lived there forever would know that the pyramids are there, right? No, I've got a picture from 1850 of discovering the pyramids, and all they looked like was mountains. They look like mountains. There were two mountains. No, they weren't pyramids. They were mountains. And they went up and cleaned them up. Clean. Bingo. And they found them. if our Earth had wiped out the people, then that's why nobody continues to exist to worship at the temples of the
Mhm.
pyramids. Where'd they go? Where'd they go?
Oh, they're temples? They
Sure,
are temples, right?
they were
Okay.
temples. They were temples to worship their gods, whoever their gods were. But it's there. Google it. Google a picture of the Mexico City pyramids. They're not exactly called that, but Google will know. Taken in 1850. It's just the desert with a couple like mountains.
Hmm.
You wouldn't know that they're pyramids. So now, whenever we're driving around Mexico, when Drew and I are driving to here and there and whatever, I look at mountains that shouldn't be there, like a hill in the middle of a desert, and I go, why is that hill there? I mean,
So
if this is all ocean ever, why is there a hill there? And now I'm thinking, you know what? There's probably a structure underneath that hill, just like
same
in
with
Mexico City.
Vegas. I swear there's I
Amazing.
remember I said the hills are empty. Remember I said that when we were driving to California from here, when you and I drove together a couple times, and I was
Yeah.
like, for some reason I look at those mountains and they're empty. And it looks like they're made out of metal or something. Some of them here in Vegas, when you're going into California, it's like it literally looks like those hills are hollow. And some places it looks like they're pixelated. Some places they don't look real. It's like we're not in a real world, but we're okay. This is what they're saying. We are not in a real world, but we are real. We are real. We are skin, we are flesh, we are blood, we have a beating heart. That is very real. There's nothing more real than breath of life, than
Right.
living life, than breathing in and out. You are still real when you leave. You're just in spirit form. You're back to being God consciousness in a different form. But being in a reality that's not real doesn't make you not real. So it's just understand that this world that you're living in is an arena, and this arena is Christ, it's God, and your mind thinks, and when you think, when you're inside God, you create. So think positive thoughts. Go online, look up what's a positive affirmation that I can say today. And when I start being negative, when I start saying, oh, this sucks, I'm never going to get a job, I'm never going to do this, and he's going to cheat on me, or blah, 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 or that person, I'm going to get in trouble, or oh, I did this really shady thing and I'm going to get caught, or just start to think a positive thought. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm the most positive person alive and blah, blah. Make it very realistic and just something that makes you feel good. Like I'm pretty, or I'm losing weight, or just something that like, it's like something that's good in your life that's happening. Just say it. Say it 10 times. Count, probably like you said, make us say it 10 times so we wouldn't forget. Say it
Mm-hmm.
one time, two times, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Say that 10 times and feel it within you. Say it in front of a glass of water. Say those 10, say that same thing 10 times, then drink a glass of water and feel it going throughout your cells and programming you into a more positive person. Because the more positive you are, the less negative you're going to attract into your life. You're only going to attract that which you are, because you are your surroundings, and your surroundings are you. It's very hard to explain. Just believe us when we say this. Go find a positive affirmation today, and we'll see you tomorrow. We bless you.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let me finish on just one thing I
Yeah.
saw on YouTube the other day. I read about it or something, but they did this experiment, and I've brought it up before, where kids would speak in a high school. They would say to a plant on this end of the room, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so fabulous. So pretty, and you're so
Mhm.
healthy." And then on the other room was the exact same plant, and they say, "Oh, you're ugly, you're
Oh, poor plant.
terrible."
Mhm.
And the plant that was given the positive affirmations grew healthily, and the
Right.
one
I
that was
heard about that. Yeah.
and they
Good.
they did it with a piece of fruit. They did it with like a piece of fruit, and they kept telling they'd tell the orange or the grapefruit or whatever kind of fruit it was. "Oh,
Mhm.
you're terrible, you're
Oh.
ugly, you taste terrible, blah blah blah." And then there'd be another one next to it, and they go, "Oh, you're so beautiful, and you're so tasty." Then after a week, they open them up. The one that was given
Oh.
positive affirmations was delicious, and the one that was given negative affirmations was rotten on the inside, and even with
Interesting.
worms and things in it. So your positive words have such an effect on other people. If you use negative words on your children, how do you think they're going to respond?
Yeah,
They
exactly.
need positive affirmation. They need that beauty that comes from inside you and not the ugliness. So anyway, okay,
That's
let's
what I was
go.
explaining to Jeff. I said, Jeff, we need to be Matthew's biggest motivator to give him self-esteem. If you tell him he's bad, because Matthew the other day was when I was doing my
Then
healings, I
he'll live
number
up
you.
to being bad.
Yeah,
he'll
well,
live up to being
I
bad.
number you, I number Mama, I number Holly and Joshua and Anya and everyone in the family because everyone in my class gets a number. And then I go through when I'm doing my healings during class and I don't know who's what. I don't know who my family is and who the class members are, but I just heal numbers 1 through 50 if I have 50 people in class. And then I'll make little readings and go, oh, number 50, you need to get more grounded or this or that. I always get to a number and I'll be like, oh, I feel sick to my stomach. I get impending doom. 3 or 4 of the times it's been Matthew. So the other day I said, Matthew, I said, I was doing your healing in class last night. I said, and when I got into your number, you were number 22. I felt like impending doom. I know you don't know what that feels like. I said, but do you ever feel like bad? He goes, all the time. I feel bad. He says, I think I'm going to grow up and be a horrible adult and I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that. And I said, Matthew, I said, you're so good. I said, I may not like YouTube because I don't want you to see scary things, but you're not bad for wanting to watch YouTube. You're not bad for wanting to play shooter games. You're not bad for any of this stuff. I said, we're just trying to protect you from things that'll give you nightmares and, you know, this and that. So I'm like laying up, I'm lightening up on all the media stuff a little bit more so that he doesn't feel guilty for wanting to watch that because it's starting to come through as guilt. And that those thoughts alone are creating within him an environment that's making him act out and be bad because he thinks he's bad for doing that. So I had one of those like aha, like mother moments. Thank God I had him numbered and it happened to be that, you know, I felt that same feeling a few times with him and Aaron numbers everybody. I don't Aaron. And I was like, Aaron, who's number what? And she's like, it's Matthew. And I was like, whoa, gosh, it's crazy. So I've been doing healings on him at night and telling him that he's amazing. And I remember you, Papa, all the time. You loved your babysitter because she told you were a good boy.
Okay.
Your babysitter. Remember your babysitter told you, oh.
Okay. Yeah, we're done anyway. We were supposed to be done 20 minutes ago. Okay.
Okay, sorry, I'll let you go. But remember your babysitter used to tell you you were a good boy, and you remember that because she told you were a good boy, right? Your babysitter, the black lady that you had when you were a little kid.
Yeah, Ruth. Her name was
Yes, she would
Ruth.
tell you you were a good boy.
Ruth. Oh,
Yeah,
Ruth.
because
That's
she
when I
told
lived
you
in
you were
Alabama.
good, you said. Yeah, everyone else
she
was like,
probably
you're
did.
bad. Yeah.
Oh, I loved her. I loved Ruth. I wish I would have been able to find her as an adult. I don't know what her name is or anything, but she was like my mother. She was truly my mother, and that was when, you know, I lived in Alabama, and that was in 1954, 1955. You know, when Martin Luther King was marching, I lived there. And and our maid was like my mom because my mom had just had my brother Randy in 54 and then had my brother Steve in 55. She was overwhelmed. I was 4 at the time and 5, and my brother was 6 and 7. My parents didn't have any time for me and my older brother.
Yeah.
And so Ruth was really, I mean, I love her. I've never had anything against anybody of color. In fact, my first girlfriends were of color. Because I was raised by somebody who was so loving, who was a black person. I didn't know they were black. I just thought they were a regular person, you know, just like anybody else. You know, I think bad feelings towards others, racial feelings towards others is a learned concept.
Yeah.
I think we all appreciate it. It was like, you know, I think Jesus said it, or maybe just pastors say it. Love the sinner and hate the sin. Love the sinner and hate the sin. You know, but sometimes if that sinner is somebody that might want to take you out and kill you, or how do you love that person? Well, you love the spirit that's within him because God has put in that spirit within all of us. It's just that bozo doesn't know that he's being led by, he could easily be being led by the light. Anyway, we could go on forever. Let's wrap it up today and let's come on back.
All right, everybody.
Tomorrow.
Thank you for being here. We love you. Thank you for the support, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be on time, likely. Today, the kids were just out of school. So anyways, all right, everyone. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
All right.